Hello,
Hello.
how are you? How are y'all doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
I am doing good. I'm gonna have to sit at a weird angle because I had shoulder surgery 2 weeks ago, so I gotta keep my laptop a little lower. So,
How are you feeling
Ouch.
after that?
all right.
How are you feeling? Is Elizabeth wanted to know. Me too.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I'm feeling good actually, all things considered. But uh, so yeah, it's been good. Oh, what was that? But yeah, no, it's actually not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, so I'm happy about that. I definitely thought I was gonna be way worse off.
Good.
Good.
We'll give it a few minutes here for Wayne, but we're going to be going over React, of course. Did we have any questions or anything about any of the material, the homework?
I'm
Seem
gonna be honest, I'm a little bit lost because I didn't get started until late last night,
okay.
not realizing there was
Yeah.
homework to get assigned. So I got into it a little tiny bit, but
Mhm.
I'm gonna be making up some legwork after tonight.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, it was more of like a orientation type of homework, just getting used to it, seeing what it's gonna entail. But we'll be going over some of the things that you went over in the or at least what you would have went over.
Okay.
So there's no worries.
Okay, great.
I'm
Thank you.
also I'm sorry. I keep
You're fine.
interrupting. I was gonna say I'm a little bit lost as well. I got about midway through
Uh-huh.
the game tutorial thing, and when it started talking about the game history moves, like that was went just sailing over my head. So I'm pretty lost when it comes to that part particularly.
No worries. Yeah, we're definitely going to be exploring all that stuff. Like I said, it was just like to get you oriented, just like seeing some things, and then as we go on, you're gonna see a lot of those dots connect. And that's kind of what that is as well. Like how they set it up is kind of like a little, like I said, crash course, like general overview of what all can be done with it. And then like there might have been some things that you might have noticed, like um that correlated to some of the things you learned, like with just JavaScript, and then how that does some of the same things but a little bit differently. So we'll be covering that, and then going into not necessarily today. We won't be getting into like the deep behind the scenes things, but I'll be walking you through like some of these things and how they essentially connect and explaining some things. So that way you be able to answer questions about them as we go along as well. So I know it could be a little confusing for sure. Uh, just a couple more minutes.
Hey Derek, while we're waiting, if our class runs a little bit late, I may have to turn my camera off right at 7 to check in for my flights tomorrow night and then jump back on just in case. I have to check in at 7 p.m. So I was like, I just want to make sure that you know what's
Okay.
going on if I'm suddenly missing.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I understand.
Thank you.
Uh, we shouldn't be ending late, but uh, yeah, that's perfectly fine. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started with what we have. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Hold up. Let me set this up. Let me see if this will work. Being who? Oh, actually, yes. Okay, it's gonna be a little complicated. Hold up. Let me set up my windows. I'm sorry. It is.
No worries. It knows you want to share, and it's like, oh, let me
Yep.
install some updates or whatever.
Exactly. So I'm gonna. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, then let me set up my windows. See, that is the wrong one. No wonder. Boom. Fun times. Okay, cool. Uh-oh. Hold up. It's glitching out on me for some reason. It's thinking that there's two monitors. Okay, let me try this again. Okay. Are y'all able to see my screen? Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So, welcome to Module 4, where we're going to be learning React, and then we're also going to be learning a few other things um, alongside React. So, we're going to be learning React, Tailwind, which is a um, CSS tool that provides you with some shorthand so you don't have to have a bunch of clunky code. Although some will argue that Tailwind can get a little clunky itself. And then Daisy UI, which is a essentially it pairs well with Tailwind. It's shorthand to be able to make custom UI components essentially. So that way that you don't have to worry about building out like your UI as much. You can use some predefined UI elements using Daisy UI to essentially speed up that process as well. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth, but that's um what we're going to be focusing on today. I know with module 4 we're going to be talking about, of course, React. Um I know we're going to talk some more about the MySQL, and then we're also going to be practicing some testing as well. So testing is depending on who you talk to, who you work, where you work at, testing can be pretty important. Some people are 100% all testing. There's some people who don't believe in testing at all. But testing can be really useful to catch things that are gonna break before they break. So, but that'll be something that we're gonna explore as we go along as well. So, React. So, why React? A lot of companies are using React. React is heavily backed by, so actually Facebook essentially created React, and React is backed by Facebook super heavily, and Facebook is built with React. And what makes React good is its modular design, right? So React isn't a giant application and you're just, you know, building uh large one page files that have just every all its logic sitting in one file. The modular design comes down to what we call components. So you build out you it its main purpose is like to help with those separation of concerns from having your logic and then your UI separated. That way you'll be able to build out if you have a button, you could use a button component that is reusable so that way you can use that same button component in different areas of your website. And then you can also customize those components to be able to take in what we call props to do different things based on those props, which is something that we'll be getting into, of course. And then so React updates the DOM for you. So if you remember in JavaScript, we were having to do the inner text to manipulate the DOM to change um the page content. React handles that for you using JSX, which stands for JavaScript expression, I believe. Yes. I might have that wrong. But so what that does is it's basically the markup for your page alongside your code, so that way you can use your logic directly in the JSX to render depending on the conditions that you set with that. But it also uh React also handles the rendering. So anytime any of that changes, React watches that and it updates for you automatically. So you don't have to continuously build out that logic for anything that you want to change dynamically on your page. And we call that the state. So React is manages helps manages the state. So so as your data changes, as your state changes, React looks at that and then it updates it for you. And then I know we didn't get to spend very much time with the assignments and some parts were confusing. But I don't know if you remember the components. Um, so when we talk about the modular design, we think of components because that's how we break everything down. So you can make a component and then you can import other components into your component as well. And then when you import that component into another component, it's going to import all those child components along with it. So it's a way you can break everything down and make them easily reusable. If you think about the house, like if how we have HTML, CSS as being like the foundation in the house, and then JavaScript is um the logic, like the light switches running throughout the house and all that fun stuff. Uh, Components are essentially breaking those different parts of the house down into smaller pieces so that way you can easily remove a window and then place it somewhere else or change it. And if you have three of the same windows, you can change one component, one piece of component code and update three different things all at the same time. So you don't have to go to three different places just to update that thing. Uh, we pretty much covered this, but components for the most part, they're always going to be capitalized. So, and we're going to use them like as tags, like we do like our divs, but they're going to be capitalized. And you'll often see them in this as a close tag, and those like the capitalized hello. So you'll normally have them in the close tag. Um, there are situations where you would have them um with the traditional format where you'll see the open tag and then you'll have some code and then that closing tag. But we'll see some of that as well. But that's usually when you a lot of times see that when you're trying to control like a layout of a web page for instance, and then you want to determine how you're going to handle those children within that tag. So so if there's going to be um what's the word I'm looking for? Like, yeah, if you're controlling the layout of a web page and then you have the the children components like different web pages or components that are going to render within that boundary, I guess you could say. So that way, like if we were going to have like a navigation menu, you'll notice on like some pages they have like the menus where you can navigate to different pages. Well, you might use a open tag for that to be able to render children in there, so that way they will all have that same navigation menu, render that same navigation menu, and we'll see an example of that as well. Um, Further along, actually, probably we'll probably see that this Saturday. All right. So, any questions at all before we jump right into it? No. Okay. All right. So let me see. Do I already have?
I'll say one thing.
Oh, hey,
Don't
Brian.
be don't be scared.
Oh,
Um, it is a mind like it's a click, right? So it's like when you were learning JavaScript at first, you were like, hey, this doesn't make any freaking sense. And then you had a click and it was kind of okay, this kind of makes some sense. We got some variables, all that stuff. React is it's a different way of thinking about it. And so once you get that click, then it's like, holy crap, I have all this power. And I don't know, Derek, if you said or if you shared that like thinking in React blurb that we normally share. I think it's on the React site. I can look it
I
up.
I did not share that one.
Okay, yeah, I'll
I
look it
did not.
up. But yeah, it's super helpful to kind of get your mind thinking like React. So anyway, I'll let you have a flashback. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I appreciate that. Okay. So we all should have Node installed from our previous lessons, of course. With that, we'll just go ahead, jump right into it. We're gonna walk through the steps. I will I'll walk through it real quick and then um we'll just all go through it that way. Oh, did I not have a let me see. I lost my terminal, which is fine. I'll do it this way. All right. Okay, so what we're gonna do is the first thing we're gonna do is the npm create vite. If I can type at latest, and then it's just gonna bring up some prompts, and then it's gonna tell you to name your project, and this one will name.
I don't know if it's just my old eyes, but can you zoom in?
Oh yeah,
Thanks.
sorry, it was wrong, but oh no, I always forget. Okay, all right. We all able to see that?
Perfect.
Perfect. So yep, so we got the npm create vite at latest. So first thing they're gonna ask us is to name the project and then the package, which can be the same as the project name. And then here it's gonna give us a list of frameworks, and we're gonna select the React, and then we're gonna select just the JavaScript. So right now we're just gonna select the vanilla JavaScript. Uh, and then it's gonna ask install with npm and start now, and then we'll just go ahead and hit yes. So it's gonna scaffold the project, and scaffolding really means it's just building out those projects. So is um build it's loading it basically with some predetermined files to get the project started, which we'll go over as well. So we'll go over the anatomy of the project structure. So it basically initializes the project structure for you, the starting state, and then once it did that, it automatically uh ran it. So one of the so I know we working with React, but you probably noticed that we initialized this project with the npm create Vite. It's pronounced Vite. I'll slip up every once in a while and call it Vite, but it's Vite. Um, and it's some other language that stands for fast. That's why a lot of people like to use it because it is um extremely fast and extremely reliable. Um, so Vite is what we're going to use to work with our React code. So that way, like I said, it's scaffolding out that project for us. That way we don't have to manually go through and start a project from scratch all the way when we already have a process for handling that for us. And this is the standard way of doing it. So there's different tools that you can use. Like for instance, the next one, like for module 5, we're going to be using Next.js, which is also a front end technology. Like so Vite is considered a front end framework. Uh, and Next.js is as well, but it has some server advantages that we get to take advantage of, which makes it really popular as well. Uh, and then one thing you'll notice is that it gives us very this basic landing page to introduce Vite to us. So here it gives us the count. So which is pretty cool. It looks very basic, but what's happening under hood is really cool. And we'll go over that here shortly. Any questions about that? Nope. Okay. So we'll go ahead and I'll just let you go ahead and uh initialize your project. Uh I didn't put it in here, but call it you can name your project something like MillDB or whatever you want to call it for this module. We're gonna be essentially working on in the same project uh throughout the module.
If you're completely lost, don't feel bad. Like
Yeah,
this is the first time you're seeing this, and it's like what? So I'm sure
yeah,
Derek won't mind walking back through it or whatever you need.
I do not mind at all.
Is there a name that we should consider this our project name?
You can call it MillDB. Uh I say that because we're gonna be working on um a meal database, like a recipe tracker for this
Perfect.
module. And then once you run that initial command, you're going to make sure you choose React and then just vanilla JavaScript. Oops, I forgot. If you run into any issues, just let me know.
Once it's kind of, finished within the terminal, what do we do then?
So I'll show you a little trick. Well, if you already ran it, so I can show you a trick. One thing you can do, if so, you can kill the server with the Control C, and then one thing you can do is just code. Let me see. Did it put us in? It did not. Okay. So it ran the server, but it didn't
Yeah.
cd into it. So we have to follow those commands. So we'll from where we ran it, we'll do the cd and then the milDB, and then just for good practice, because typically anytime you um start a new project or download a new project, you're going to want to run npm install because there's dependencies that are in your project that from our node modules that we want to make sure that are installed. So then we could go in and then we'll just go ahead and npm install. So it added 31. Oh, it added 3 packages. Well, that's perfect. And then from there, if you want to bring up your code, we'll just hit uh if I'm moving a little fast, just tell me. Tell me slow down. Don't feel bad. But we'll just code and then space a period. And so what this is telling the terminal is to open your editor, whichever IDE you prefer to use, your default editor. It's telling it to open it, and then the period is telling it just to open uh the full directory. So from the root is just gonna open that. You can type in specific uh files or other directories that you want to target from the root directory that you're in is relative to the directory that you're typing it in from the terminal. So that will automatically, as you see it, open the IDE for me right where I need it to be. And then once we are settled,
So I
yeah,
see like on mine, I have the last thing I have on my terminal, it's like the press H plus enter to show help. Um, and
yes.
then so do I put in like the everything that you've typed in with the C and then the day one, do I put all that in my terminal or
So this is so I forget. I'm using a tool. It just shows the stuff in a weird way. But this is just where what directory we're currently in right now. So at that time,
okay.
I was at the day one folder, and then I changed directory into the mill directory. So then it placed me at the mill DB. I said directory, but the mill DB. So then from there I npm installed, and then but for here, if yeah, you want to, if your server's still running, you want to control C to kill the server, and then you should see it should pop up, what directory that you're in, and then you're gonna CD. CD stands for change directory into the project, into the new folder
Okay.
that it created.
Or are you already in VS Code?
I'm not yet.
Oh, okay. So what I did just to be different is I just
Yeah.
went ahead and like created my file in VS, or I created it and then I opened it in VS Code, and then in the VS Code terminal I ran all this stuff. So I was already in the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Several
I
ways to skin a cat, apparently. Okay.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
I do forget to mention the option sometimes, but so yeah, if you also if you want to start with the once you change directory into the mill DB, you can also just do the code period to open it, and then you can use um the VS Code terminal if you're more comfortable with that. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Um, it's just whatever works for you, whatever you're more comfortable with. I'm a weirdo. I like running my servers from the the editor terminal and then doing everything else inside the actual terminal. Let me go ahead and do this now. What in the world? How are we coming along? Are we good on that? Were you able to get the edit? Oh, sorry, Elizabeth.
You're okay. I got through doing the npm run dev and
Mm-hmm.
it pulled it up. It said it's ready. But it doesn't have like an edit or anything like that. Let's see. It looks
It
a little
doesn't
bit
have.
different because mine was not wanting to pull what yours is, so I had to open up my brain just lost me.
No
The
worries.
name of the it's VS Code. That's what it is. I
The
was
VS
like, the
Code.
program name.
Oh, okay. You said it didn't. It pulled it up differently.
Yeah, I was pulling it up differently in my terminal, and I'm still new to the Apple world of having a MacBook Pro. So
Gotcha.
VS Code was a little more straightforward for me, and I got it. I went through all the steps and got through the npm run dev, and
So your server is currently running right now.
yes.
Okay, cool. So I'll just go ahead and run mine. What about you, Lori? Is everything good with you?
Um,
Yeah.
I'm still struggling here. I kind of mine was saying that I tried the code period, code space period, and it was like I don't know what you're talking about. I can't find it. So then I abandoned that and tried to
Okay.
go into VS Code and try and find it that way, and was not having much luck.
Okay. So let me see. Do you mind? Do you see where it does it tell you what folder you're in currently?
I am in my meal DB folder.
Okay. And then if you want to do the CD dot space,
Okay.
and then I said did I say CD dot space? I said it backwards. CD space dot dot.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries.
I knew something was off.
Okay. Okay, now it says now it's waiting for me to type something else.
Okay, does it say what folder it is in there?
It just some weird folder I don't recognize. It's not in the meal database folder anymore.
Okay. So we can do it like this. We can if you want to open up VS Code and then do it from VS Code, that'll probably be a
Okay.
bit easier for you. Let's see.
You want to share your screen, Laura?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm really off to a lovely start here. Okay. Let's see.
So yeah. So do you have I don't remember, do you have a dedicated folder for all the projects that we've been doing?
Um, I I did for my other one, and I'm not sure how to actually get out of it. Um, okay, I sent a little request to share
Uh
screen.
I, I approved it. You should be able to share it.
Okay, let's see if I can share. Oops. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. Let's go to that. Okay. I made my expense tracker, and I'm never going to.
Let me stop sharing for uh, there there it goes. Okay. So if you for VS Code, you can do a on the top left. I always forget what it is. Yeah, you should see the file, and then let's see. One way you could do it is are you are you on a MacBook?
I'm on a MacBook. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So one thing you can do is you can just hit the on the top left, you can do the file, hit the file above in the tab bar, toolbar,
Oh,
whatever Mac
okay.
calls it. I forget.
Gotcha. Okay.
So then you could do one thing you could do the open folder.
Okay.
I feel like I might be doing this the more complicated way because I'm so used to doing it the other way. But so yeah, so we're in our GitHub folder. So I would just go to the documents. Yeah, click
Okay.
doc, and then just click on the GitHub just once, and then
Okay.
just hit. Ooh, that's gonna open it in a weird way. Oh, and then I hit open,
Okay.
and it's gonna open all your projects. I did it in a weird way. Uh, is this how
Did
you
you
normally do it?
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it that way. I wouldn't do all of GitHub, but Laura, did you make a folder for this yet?
I think maybe I didn't make a folder for this. I definitely didn't VS Code. Um,
Okay, then I would
and
just
I'm
start over. I would
okay.
just make a new folder here for mod 4 and then just do
Okay.
the steps again.
Okay. Okay. All right.
It gets a little confusing because V is gonna create a new folder for you, but it's fine to do it that way.
Would it be a new file I'm creating or an actual new folder?
It's going to be a
So
folder.
Okay.
yeah,
But I see
All
what
right.
you're saying, Derek. If you just open your terminal right there, Laura,
Mm-hmm.
just go up, go
oh,
back to VS Code. Forget about this guy. This guy's out.
Okay.
yeah.
And just
I
go
need to
up
remember
top, back to your, or yeah, go to terminal,
terminal. Yeah.
new terminal. There you go.
So it's gonna open its built-in terminal.
And then go ahead and run the code, the stuff that Derek had you run, and it's going to
Mhm.
make you
Okay.
a new folder there when it makes the right thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can see what you had typed there because I don't remember.
No
Okay.
worries.
Thank you.
Of course. Let me reshare my screen.
Yeah, when I'm doing it, I always forget that it makes its own folder, so I end up having a folder within a folder, which is it's fine, but it's kind of annoying.
Yeah. If you get, you know, antsy about those kinds of things, I do. It always throws me off. I just completely like I was like, oh, now I gotta start all the way over.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, one thing while y'all are doing that, Derek has said vanilla JavaScript a couple times. Just to not
Click.
clarify, but differentiate, there is actually a framework called vanilla JavaScript, and that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about plain old JavaScript.
I forgot about that. There is that.
Yeah,
Which is
I
a
think
smart move.
yeah, I think a student last year was like trying to work in the vanilla JavaScript framework or
Hmm.
something. It's like, oh yeah, no, that's not what we're doing. So yeah, two different things.
Okay. I've actually got a project now within VS Code that's got things in it. So thank you. Takes a
Okay.
village.
That's yeah, it's very confusing at first. It takes some getting used to because there's a as you've seen just from setting this up, there's a million different ways you can approach something, it feels like. So like I said, it comes down to what works best for you, what your preference is. There's no right or wrong way necessarily, but whatever works best for you and getting that. And then it's unlikely that unless you're just a project fiend and you're just starting new projects just to do it, you're not gonna be starting a bunch of new projects. So you're probably gonna yeah, you're probably gonna be doing this a couple of times because every once in a while when it's time to start up a new project, you were gonna forget, or you might be starting up a new project because like going through this process with Vite is different from going through this process with Next.js. So there's a couple of frameworks right you might be exposed to that might uh test you every now and then. So that is perfectly fine. It's normal. It's part of the process. Um so with that, I'll just go ahead and where is my did I already believe I did. Okay. So with that, I will just go through the anatomy of the project. So this part is a little confusing as well because um there's some navigating involved on how the project breaks down. So it takes a little bit to understand. I don't expect you to understand it right off the bat from here, but it can be a little bit confusing because as you see, this is how our project starts off, and you notice we already have some files already and started. So I'll go. So this is the page that it builds out automatically or yeah, by default when you first install it. So it's gonna do this every time you initialize V in that way. And what's happening is uh it's being rendered from this page, which looks probably weird. I open. Let me full screen it. There it goes. It looks a little weird uh from what you're used to. So some things you will notice of course we got some imports at the top. So when we talk about components, when you make a component, you're going to import it into the uh, file that you want to use it in. Um, and then you'll see this anatomy has this function app. So these are components as well. So um, it has this function app, and then it's just a this all of this code is a component from here from the this is one function that's just a big component essentially. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on inside of it. Uh, so this is when we remember I was showing the count. Um, this is what we use. This is what's called the use state that tracks that state, what I mentioned earlier. So it's tracking, React is tracking when changes happen to that state. And then it's updating it. We're not gonna get into like the anatomy of the use state right now, but we'll get into that. But you're probably wondering like how is React updating that count if this is all it has right here. So this is where that JSX. So this is the JSX inside of this return statement. Um, you're always gonna have this little return statement. So inside this return statement is the JSX, and it has I forget the term, but these are basically they're basically empty tags. So you can see it has like an empty tag with no text in between them. That's just because React, when you return, it has to be one top level component that everything has to be in with that. So that's why you'll see that it's a little weird. You can normally have it be whatever. A lot of the time you'll see that it's just what you're used to, a div. Uh, so yeah, so you normally see it as a div, but sometimes you'll see it with the empty tags. But then you'll notice that it has HTML. So we're used to that. We've seen that HTML. We're used to that HTML. But it's also, if you notice in the brackets, it has so like the hero image here, it's calling that hero image, and we imported that hero image, which is so it's pulling an image and then it's using that image in what seems like HTML code. So that's essentially what JavaScript expression is being able to mix your JavaScript with your HTML to make it more like a markdown file. So that way it's a little bit more readable. It's more you're able to when you're going through, you don't have to go between your JavaScript code to access the DOM and going through two different files or even um uh areas of concern. You can see it all where it's happening. So you calling that right here in that code, you can see it right then and there. You don't have to go back and forth. So that's one of the advantages of it, and it's just for me, it's a lot more readable. I think it helps me understand my code a little bit better. But like I said, so here is our button that's rendering that count. And on here, you see that on our on click, we have our set count. We have a function that increments that every time we click that button, it's taking our count and adding +1 to it. So you can actually call functions right within your HTML code. I guess you could say. So you can call function to to simplify it. But yeah, so that way, so that's another advantage of it is being able to use logic right in your document, uh, your UI components. Uh, I know it looks a little weird right now, but we're just trying to understand like a little bit of what's going on, not necessarily what's happening with the code as well. So that's your JavaScript expression. So you can see we have our normal H2 tags, our P tags, all that fun stuff. All this is just that one page that we seen in that folder. Actually, let me do this so it's a little bit easier. Uh so all that is rendering. So that image, we're pulling that image in and it's all being rendered from that JSX code. And then how that works is this is where it gets well, I mean, it's all a little bit confusing when you're first hearing about it. But so we have our JSX, our app.jsx. So our uh extensions are a little bit different because we have JSX and we're used to that .js or .html or .css. You're still gonna see the .css, but you're not gonna see the HTML so much, as well as you'll probably still see a good amount of just .js because you might have some files that are pure just JavaScript, right? Pure logic, um, or just some data, just sample data or something like that. So you'll still see some .js files pretty frequently. So what's happening is we have our app.jsx, which I told you is this function, which is a component. As you know, you can tell because it's capitalized. Um, Here we have our main.jsx. What's happening here is we import. So we're importing our app component. So we pull in our app component into this main.jsx, and then we're calling that component. So with that tag format that we seen earlier. But then this is where you see that document dot get element by ID dot root. So at the root of the page, this is coming in and it's grabbing the root of the document, the DOM. So this is how it knows what to update within the page that's being rendered, right? Like I said, it's a little confusing. I don't expect you to remember all of this because it's going to take some muscle memory to get used to going through all these things. Starting out, you're really not going to be doing much with the main.jsx file. Sometimes you'll never do anything with the main.jsx file. Um, but then so that's accessing that root of the DOM, the DOM of the page. So any changes that we're making to this app component is being imported into this main.jsx file, which is then, let's see, which is then we still have our index.html. So this is we still have that index.html essentially, which has that same markup that we were used to when we started with HTML, right? That that very, I don't want to say basic, but that initial makeup of it, where we have the head and we have the body, and then here we have that ID of root. So this is what that main.jsx file is accessing and changing. So every time we make changes, it knows that we're going to access this root and make those changes on that root, on that ID root. And then just like normal, we're using the script. So it's JavaScript still. But we are pulling it in. So we're pulling that main.jsx file into this index.html so that it does have access to our root. So I know it's a little bit confusing to remember that. So you just really need to know that it all essentially is leading to this index.html uh when it comes down to it. So that way, if you are having to troubleshoot or you're having issues with something, you know you can understand at least the very basic of yeah, the very basic idea of what's going on. Because like I said, it can be a little confusing. Some people like to do a little bit different. Some people uh like to have the app.jsx file. You might have your app.jsx file and you might want to use that as your what's the word I'm looking for? Basically your central file where you're pulling in all your components and you're handling the logic for how things are being rendered. In which this will be like your home page essentially. Um some people like to have it to where they do that on the main.jsx. It depends. Some It depends on, like the project that you come into, your personal preference. I like to tell people that you just want to stick with the default layout when you first starting out until you get more comfortable and understand what's going on. So that way, uh, you're not changing things and then you have to like go back and figure out what went wrong because it can get confusing sometimes. But I know that's a lot to take in at this time. Do we have any questions about that?
I have
Any?
not a question, but can I steal a minute of time?
You sure can.
Awesome. So this is so big and so awesome. So click on click on the HTML real quick, if you don't mind.
Oh, the HTML, yes.
Yeah. So this is what we've been doing, right? Like this ID root, we've been using our JavaScript to grab the IDs within the HTML so we could display stuff or do whatever JavaScript stuff we do, right? So we have this ID root here. I click on the main JSX. And then this get element by ID, like that's what we've been doing, right? Like we're getting that element by ID, the ID is root, we're grabbing it up. And then we're just passing in this JavaScript stuff into that to render on there. So that's like just JavaScript. That's all it is. And all it is it's taking all of these crazy components that we're going to build and just creating this like one big page essentially. I mean, we'll have routing and stuff, but taking all of that JavaScript and just shoving it in this one ID of root, right? So that's like we already know that. We've been doing that for like 2 modules now. So it's so huge to think like all of this stuff, it just boils back down to the simple stuff that we're learning. We're just piling more and more of what we already know on top of it and kind of calling it different things and then building upon that. But it all boils down to the stuff you already know. So I always think that's just awesome. That's it. That's my mind. That's my minute.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it's super cool because like yeah, everything like Brian said, everything that you learned, like we've been kind of, foreshadowing is just going to lead up to this. So um it's super cool. And then, like I said, I wanted today to be just like a quick orientation of this. I don't expect you to remember it. I just wanted you to see what it was because I like you mentioned at the beginning, it's a little confusing, and hopefully it helped you understand it even just a little bit more. So that way, as we go on, because this is what you're gonna see for the next two modules is this shape. So even with Next.js, this is what you're going to see. And Next.js is essentially going to be, I think I say it's going to be more fun because Next.js has some cool tooling. But it's still going to be in all this shape. So it's just learning the quirks of a framework. But well, there was one more thing. Okay. So one of the things I did want to demonstrate very basically is This will be real quick. Is so like I said, this is rendering all that code on that screen, right? So we have this. So just to give you an idea, oops. Okay. I always I'll never get good at that. But just to give you an idea, all right, I need to of how it's working. Oh my goodness. Oh, I broke something. Oh, I put it in the wrong. I'm thinking of a code tag. All right. So we got rid of all that, and then for that we just have a big hello. So this is like I tell you, with all that fluff in there, is just taking basically our HTML elements and then it's just rendering them directly to the DOM, going through the main, accessing that root, using the get element by ID, and then going through the index.html. So that's just a very basic overview of what we're going to be getting into. This is what we're going to be seeing essentially for the rest of this module and including module 5. So we have any questions about React, anything that we're going to be learning upcoming? I, it's I want to say it's pretty straightforward. Once we start getting more hands-on with it, you'll understand it a little bit more. And then it's a little confusing to pick up at first, but I I personally think it's a lot easier than learning the basic JavaScript, right? So you get to have a lot more fun with building stuff. I mean, JavaScript is fun too, but you get to build your logic in your page all on that same page. So it's fun, and we'll have a lot of fun with this one, I think. But if we don't have any questions, I won't hold you. I know we're a little bit, couple minutes over time. Um, I'll see you Saturday. We'll definitely be we'll dive a lot more deeper into this. We'll be going over U State and all that stuff this upcoming Saturday. All right. All right, awesome. No questions. I'll see you Saturday.
See you
Anything
Saturday.
else?
Thank you so
Eric,
much.